Good morning. We want to thank you for having gone through the Christmas festivity, and we pray that we end the year 2021 successfully and usher in the year 2022 with very good prospects. We want to start by informing you that Christmas was generally peaceful, and we look forward to a happy new year 2022. And for that, we want to start by congratulating all Ugandans and visitors for having celebrated the Christmas holiday in a very peaceful manner across the country. We are pleased that the majority of the public adhered to our safety guidelines while traveling and while conducting Thanksgiving, prayers, partying, and other festivities. For those who lost their loved ones during the Christmas holiday, it is with great sadness that we extend our condolences to all families that lost their loved ones. Our thoughts and prayers are with you all. We are now focusing on how we are going to enter the year 2022, and the leadership of the joint security agencies has come out to remind all Ugandans and other citizens in the country to adhere to the security and health safety guidelines that are in place. With the emergence of the new COVID-19 variant, amidst the threats of terrorism and rebel activity, it is imperative that all members of the public take matters of public safety seriously by acting cautiously with concern for their own safety, the safety of their families, and all other Ugandans and visitors in our country. As the joint security agencies, we wish to thank all Ugandans and other citizens in the country for making responsible decisions by taking the necessary precautions to protect themselves and their families. Generally, we are happy to report that the Christmas holiday was very peaceful, and we anticipate a peaceful end of year and New Year celebrations. Now, I want to inform the public, proprietors of hotels, places of worship, Lord Mayors, event organizers, and dealers in fireworks that for the second year running, fireworks are cancelled. So all those who were anticipating displays of New Year fireworks are informed that they have, for the second year, been cancelled due to the uncertainties caused by COVID-19. Therefore, we ask the public to adopt small celebrations in small groups due to COVID-19, and also look at other alternatives of ushering in the new year, probably within the precincts of their homes. In addition, all church leaders, pastors are also reminded that due to the uncertainties of COVID-19, all crossover prayers on New Year's Eve that is usually marked by millions of Christians gathered in churches to usher in the new year have also been cancelled. We wouldn't wish to see any members of the public burning tires, trees, and causing and promoting breach of peace at midnight on our roads. We expect every Ugandan by midnight to be within the precincts of their homes and neighborhoods. This activity promotes a bit of recklessness, and since the new year falls during the curfew time, we shall be very strict with the movement during that time. So those who are burning tires, trees, we are also warning you that if we get you doing so, you should get to know that it is an act that is punishable and also damages our roads. We want to greatly thank all active members of the Joint Security, the police, the UPDF, Uganda Prisons, UA, immigrations, as well as volunteers, local leaders, especially the LCs, health workers, religious leaders, politicians, our friends, the media, and other service providers who worked very hard in promoting peace and safety during Christmas. We want to congratulate and thank you all. This also includes all our military personnel and peacekeepers who are stationed in places like the DRC, Somalia, South Sudan, and in hostile places like Karamoja and along our water bodies, that we really appreciate the great honor, the dedication, and selflessness that they promote in carrying out their work and duties away from their families. We are truly grateful to you all. We wish to conclude by wishing each and every Ugandan a happy end of year 2021 and a prosperous new year 2022. Now I want to indicate also that the threat environment of terrorism still exists. As you are aware, we have now entered day 41 since the deadly suicide attacks that occurred at CPS and Parliament Avenue. In the course of last week, a total of 15 suspects who formed part of the ADF terror network in the country were actively involved in the multiple deadly attacks on Ugandans. We are charged to court on terrorism-related charges. These include, you remember Mwonge Yusuf, alias Semaganda Hamza, alias Danze of Nachigalala, Chiyemba Ismail of Lueza B, Kajansi Town Council, Ogere Muniru of Kajansi, Juko Bashir Chiwanuka, Kisitu Muhammad, Nanfuka Aaron, Nachitende Sharon, Nakato Anet Nachibirango. Then we also had Zam Naiga, Nadamba Shamira, Bachaita Hamza, Matiwa Huzaifa Ismail, Wambede Twaha, Nsubuga Nadir Faizo, and Ishak Jero. These ones were charged with terrorism as count 1. And then the second count that they were charged with was aiding and abetting terrorism. So those were the charges. Therefore, as we enter this new year, 2022, we want to inform you that the operations that are aimed at preventing, stopping, disrupting, and dismantling the remaining ADF terror cells and any other emerging hostile cells within the country are still active and ongoing. We are closely monitoring the recent deadly suicide attack which happened over the weekend in Beni, DRC, which claimed 7 lives, injured 20, and destroyed property. The leadership of the joint security agencies has strongly condemned the horrific and cowardly attacks on innocent civilians in the eastern DRC. As a country, we've faced similar challenges from such deadly suicide attacks, and we do extend our sincere condolences to the leadership of the joint security agencies in the DRC and the families, friends, and relatives of those who were murdered and injured in the deadly suicide attack. These kinds of attacks are a stark reminder to all Ugandans and other citizens in the country that the war on terrorism is not yet over. And this is why radical groups like the ADF and ISIS that are operating in the region have to be defeated at all costs because of the threats they continue to pose domestically and within the region. So we call upon the public to remain vigilant and cautious as they go shopping, traveling, as they go to places of worship during day, as they go partying and celebrating, We want to assure them that this time round there is an increased determination and commitment with the government of DRC to uproot the bases and camps of the ADF and other hostile groups in the DRC. So we anticipate that our actions this far will continue mitigating threats of terrorism in our country. We also want to inform the public that regarding the new rebel group in the country, especially in Mubende, Kasanda, Mitiana, we also made an additional arrests to a tune of 21. That has now brings the total number of arrested persons linked to rebel activity under the alleged Uganda Coalition for Change, UCFC, to 29. These additional 21 suspects were arrested within the axis of Chiboga, Mitiana, Kasanda, and they had, the majority of them, like we indicated, were being recruited from Wakiso and Nansana, and they had attended training in weapons and military drills at the UCFC rebel camps in Wabunyira and Chikandwa villages in Mitiana. The group has so far carried out 3 attacks in Wakiso, Busunju, and Chiboga. And for us as the joint security agencies, we want to inform the public that these are threats we take very, very seriously. And we've directed resources in form of manpower and logistics to help fight this threat in the districts of Kasanda, Mubende, Chiboga, and Mitiana. But we also want to caution the youth who are being recruited, especially from Wakiso, Nansana, into joining such hostile groups. There's no justification for joining a rebel group during this period. There are people who are still probably there are still people who remain angered by the outcome of the general elections, but the voice of the majority of the Ugandans was actually heard. Therefore, those politicians accelerating themes of violence and encouraging recruitment of young adults into acts of violent extremism should actually stop it. We want to reiterate that we are not targeting anybody, any individual groups because of their affiliation, belief, or ideology. It is only when these beliefs, affiliations, and ideology lead to violence that is when we shall come out, because we cannot allow impunity and lawlessness to continue under the guise of beliefs, affiliation, and so on. So we are going to ensure that these 29 perpetrators are brought to book and also hunt for others who are already on the run. The number of areas that we may wish to discuss regarding statistics of Christmas. We had a funny incident in Chihihi where, due to the excitement of Christmas, there's a man who died out of an eating contest. This was in Chihihi. Our territorial police is actively investigating circumstances under which a man died in an eating contest during Christmas. This was an amateur eating contest or competition that was promoted by one called Salvan and others in the village of Chibimbiri, which is in Chihihi sub-county in Kanongo district. The deceased has been identified as Sente Kolagad, a 56-year-old resident of Chibimbiri Cell, Kambuga Chihihi sub-county in Kanungu district. This competition had been organized on the night of Christmas. The victim died due to, the victim died when he was choked by the food that he was eating, and the body was taken to Chihihi Health Center, where it was established that he died when he was choked to death. The public should know that such contests are risky and can be life-threatening. It is common with the contests of eating and even alcohol drinking. There are also people who organize alcohol drinking contests, which are also dangerous. Under normal circumstances, the organizers of the event, like in some of the developed countries, should have informed the competitors of the risks and taken steps to protect them, like having medical personnel on board. In this very case, the organizers were amateurs. They conducted an eating competition for the contestant to eat much food within a very short time. So we are now hunting for Salvan and others from Chibimbiri cell for negligent acts that caused death. And we shall ensure that he is arrested and punished for such acts of negligence.